Welcome to this advanced PowerPoint tutorial by Eyeful Presentations on artistic bullet points. So this is an example of the kind of slide we see time and time again, undeveloped and not particularly attractive. And there's quite a few different things you can do to really improve the look and feel of a slide like this. But we're going to concentrate on creating what I like to call artistic bullet points. So we're going to take it from this slide to this slide. As you can see, a vast improvement. So before we get started in creating this slide, you're going to need to get the T Company template and also the images that you can see in this slide. Okay, first things first, let's insert a new slide. And let's get the easy bit out of the way, which is just to type in the slide title, T-Facts. Now let's add in a circle ready to insert a small image into. So we do this by going to Insert, then Shapes, and then choosing a circle. When you insert a circle by freehand, it's often a case that it's not actually a perfect circle. It's more shaped like a rugby ball. So we need to go into the Format, Shape, Size, and make the height and the width exactly the same size. That'll ensure it's a perfect circle. Also, while we're here, tick the box that says Lock Aspect Ratio. As by doing this, whenever you pull the corners of a shape, it keeps it in the orientation that it's set at. So as this is now a perfect circle, whenever we resize it by hand, it will remain a perfect circle. Okay, so to fill the shape with an image, you need to select it, right click, go to Format Shape, go to Fill, and choose Picture, and then File, and browse for the image that you want to insert. Now to make sure that the image hasn't gone into the shape stretched in any way, simply select it, go to Picture Tools, choose Crop and Fill, and that will automatically fix it. It's a really handy thing to remember. So now let's add in the thick donut. Again, we go into Shapes and just choose the donut shape. And once more, let's make it a perfect circle and lock the aspect ratio. Also, let's temporarily make it 50% semi-transparent, as it will just help us see when we want to line things up. And let's again roughly resize and position the donut. Also adjust the yellow diamond to make the donut your desired thickness. You'll note you can do this with quite a few other PowerPoint shapes as well. Okay, so when you're happy, let's make the fill of the donut a gradient. Once again, it's right click into Format, Shape, Fill, and Gradient. Change the type to radial. Make sure there are only two stops, one at either end, so if there's one in the middle, just delete that one. The left stop, let's choose this colour and make it at 100% transparent. For the right stop, let's choose the same colour but not transparent. And for the direction, let's choose this one. Okay, so now let's insert another donut to create the inner ring. Let's set up the colour. Again, we want it to be a gradient fill. And once more, only two stops are required. And the type, again, radial. Let's make the left-hand stop this colour. The right-hand stop this colour. And the direction, this direction. And again, let's make it a perfect circle and lock the aspect ratio. Now let's move it into position, resize it, and adjust the thickness of the donut until we're happy. And just to be sure, let's double check the alignment of all three objects to make sure they're nice and neat. And now's a good time to hit save. So that's Control S. Something to consider is when you spend some time creating something in PowerPoint, it's not a bad idea to consider reusing this, as this both saves time in design but also keeps the look and feel of the presentation consistent. So for example, let's use what we've just made to create the first small artistic bullet point. So we just need to marquee the donuts we've already created, and holding Control, drag the shapes over to the left and make a copy of them. Now we don't need the image, so we can just easily delete that. Again, marquee the donuts. And now let's resize them, ready to become our artistic bullets. And this is where, because we locked the aspect ratio earlier on, as we resize them, they're going to stay perfect circles. The next thing we're going to do is create our line. So it's to insert in shapes and choose a line. And let's get the format of this line right before we insert the others. Okay, so let's format the line. Right click, format shape. Let's make the line style 2 points. Let's change the colour to brown. And also add a rounded point to the end of the line. And let's put it into position. And again, to save some time, let's just make a copy of this artistic bullet. Let's position it and line it up in the centre. And now let's create the third bullet. Make sure to grab and marquee the top bullet so we can create a mirror image for the final bullet at the bottom. So this time, when we copy it, we also want to hold down Control and Shift, as that'll make sure the copy moves downwards in an exact straight line. Now let's simply flip the line and move it up, as that will keep our angle of the line consistent. So we've now got our artistic bullets in. Let's tidy the lines up. Hold Shift as you drag the sizes down, as this keeps the line in the direction it currently is. You'll note if you don't hold Shift, it moves. Now let's add in our first text box for the top lozenge. So just up to Insert again, and this time choose a text box. The first lozenge is 130,000 tonnes of tea consumed in the UK every year. Let's change it to right-hand aligned, up the size to 20 points, and place it into position. Again, to save time in design, rather than inserting another text box, let's simply copy the one we've already set up. So this one is tea plants can grow up to 16 m high. And the final one, cold tea is good for sunburn. And let's use the Align and Position tool to neaten these text boxes up. Okay, so that's the design of the slide almost done. All that's left is the adding in of the background image. So I dare say you're getting used to this now. Up to the Insert button, and this time choose an image. We browse for the tea picking image that we need. Now we need to put it into position, so just stretch the edges until it's where you want it on the slide. Don't worry about the image getting stretched. As we can fix that by just selecting the image, going up to Picture Tools and selecting Crop and Fill. As we saw earlier, that will fix any sort of stretching issues you have with images. It's a really good tool to remember. Okay, now send the image to the back. You might remember from the original slide, we have a faded effect over the image so that we can see the rest of the slide on top of it. So to do this, we just need to go up to Insert and insert a rectangle. Resize that over the picture. Note how the auto guides help you find the edges. Let's change the colour to white and make the shape partially transparent. We now need to put this faded shape to behind everything on the slide, but still in front of the image. And there's a quick and easy way to do this. We simply send the faded box to the back and then send the image to the back again. Okay, this is a good time to hit save. So now it's time for animation. Let's open up the animation pane. The first animation to happen on the slide is the faded shape to arrive over the top of the image. So let's add this animation first. A simple fade will do. And let's make it 1 second to arrive and be with rather than on click. You'll soon get a feel for animation. Now we need to animate the rest of the slide, and this is going to be a lot easier if the background image and faded shape are not there, as it'll be a lot easier to select specific shapes on the slide rather than accidentally selecting the background. So a way of hiding objects without actually needing to move them or delete them is with something called the Selection Pane. This is up on the Home tab and then over to Select and choose Selection Pane. If you're not familiar with this, the Selection Pane lists every object set on the slide. At the top of the list is the objects that are to the front of the slide, and those toward the bottom are the objects at the back of the slide. So you can easily hide objects without actually deleting them to make your life easier as and when you need. Again, you'll soon get a feel for using this tool all the time. Okay, let's just hide the background, faded shape and the image, and close the Selection Pane because we'll reopen this later on once the rest of the animation is done. Also note how the faded shape animation is no longer in the animation pane. It's not been deleted, it's just hidden. Okay, so let's animate the large outer donut first. So select this and let's add a zoom effect. Now select the inner ring and we need to add a basic zoom. And let's change the options of this zoom to be zoom out. Have a quick preview. Okay, let's also add some zoom to the image. Let's change those clicks. Have a quick look. Okay, let's add a very slight 0.3 second delay to the image. Let's have another look. Let's add a wipe entrance to the first line. Okay, let's hit save again. Now we're going to save some time during animation using something called the Animation Painter. And just like earlier on when we were using pre-existing shapes and copying them to save time in design, we can use existing animation to save time when adding new animation to different objects. First, let's zoom right into the first bullet. Now, if you select the object you want to zoom into, you can either use the buttons in PowerPoint just here to zoom directly into that object, or you can simply hold Control and roll the mouse wheel if you have one. Okay, so let's select the outer ring of the large already animated donut. Click on the Animation Painter, and now click or paint the animation on to the small outer donut. And let's repeat that process for the inner ring too. So you can see here how we're saving time in the animation stage. Let's have a quick look. Now, let's add a wipe animation to the text. Let's also change the direction to be from the right so that the animation links to the bullets. And change it to after as opposed to being on click. Okay, so that's the first bullet set up, and we can simply continue to copy and paste the animation onto the rest of the bullets. Note how I'm copying and pasting the animation in the order that I want the animation to happen. So the first line, then the outer donut, then the inner donut, and finally the text is the order in which I'm pasting the animation. You've saved lots of time there. Let's have a quick look. Okay, it's looking good, but the line animation on the second and third lines are not quite right. Let's change the lines to animate from the right. That's looking better. So once you're happy, reopen the selection pane and hit the Show All button, as that will unhide everything that you have hidden. There you have it, your background returns. And let's just check the slide. And there we have it, a nice looking, vastly improved slide with artistic bullet points. Thanks for viewing this tutorial.